any crew, when they were working on those trains just before they leave, or just before that train would leave out of there, they would put a blue flag on there. That was a safety flag. Nobody was supposed to remove that flag, with the exception of the crew that were doing the work on that locomotive or that train before it left out of there. That was a safety feature in order to make sure nobody got hurt or killed.
That's right.
Yes.
Anybody else got a question?
When you were a porter, Mr. Rogers, did you ride the entire length of the railroad when you were doing a porter's job? I'm assuming on the passenger service, the passenger
Right.
train.
When you were a porter, did you run all the way to Miami?
Did you ride all the way from Jacksonville to Miami? Did you stay with the car and the people you had on for that trip? Or did you change in the middle?
No, we had train porters leave out of Jacksonville, and we went all the way through to Miami. It kind of hurt us a little bit because the conductor and the brakeman would get off in Fort Pierce, and the porter had to go all the way through, and they would, have a turnaround job and come back to New Smyrna, and they didn't have the convenience, well, I'm just saying sleeping quarters, like they have now. They have a place for the crew where they could sleep over.
It's called a bunkhouse.
And there were times, because it didn't have the kind of seniority that a lot of the older porters had, and same thing with as a locomotive fireman. And there were times when we slept on Jacksonville benches on Bay Street and in Miami. Of course, it was dangerous sleeping on benches in Miami, even back during that time. But at any rate, yes, we did run all the way through. The porter did. But the conductor and the brakeman got off in Fort Pierce.
I understand your apprehension. We moved to Florida in 1965. I lived in Hallandale for a while, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yes, and of course,
Nice.
yes, I'll be 85 years of age my next birthday, but I still remember some of the things out of the timetable. Say, for instance, leaving Jacksonville, we mileposts, we remembered those. There was good reason for that. Like New Smyrna was milepost, I think I'm right, 125, and of course, a place like Palm Beach, 299. Fort Lauderdale, 341, Pompano Beach, 333, I think Lake Worth, 306, and right on down the line. I knew all of them and retained most of the engineers for a good while back. I've had some encounters in life that actually could have put me in what they call a dimension straight, but thankful to God that I still have good memory and not thinking about no dementia, Alzheimer, and none of that stuff. But yes, mileposts, we remember them. I think Daytona was 110. Yes, and I think Port St. Stewart, I believe Stewart was 265. It was 261.
He's right on.
Yep.
You folks have to remember, he hasn't done this since 1962.
Yes.
One more question for you, please.
Yes, sir.
What is your favorite memory of all of FEC? Either a place you were, or a person you met, or a job that you did. What do you remember fondest?
Well, sir, I tell you, I think it was one of the best educations that I received in my life, because I was meeting people coming from everywhere. And there was a few unique, strange things happen now. I heard Brother Groothouse say that he named some of the things that caused lawsuits on the railroad. But some of the lawsuits were from, sometime I would look around the corner in that passenger car, and we'd have a passenger go up to the old style water fountain and just deliberately waste some water down on the floor and slide down and come back up in there in the passenger seat, and they were grown from Jacksonville all the way to Miami till they get to one of those Miami lawyers down there to sue. And sometimes the conductor and I, we were looking, and he would curse, but being being a devoted Christian or a devout Christian. I didn't use the words he used, but it was just a lot of things like that would happen. And then, of course, and that was in 1952 when I went up on the when I was hired as a train porter. But like I said, it was one of the best educations that I got, meeting so many people of all walks of life. And it was that was really, you know, one of the things that I enjoyed about it. And of course, I was trying to remember, there was I can't name it, but I call it just a plaque or whatever was on the front of one of the coaches. Says safety is of the first importance in the discharge of duty. And one of the rules was also, I think, when in doubt about, well, y'all just say anything, take the safest course. And so, yes, it was a thrill being a porter, like I said.
You have to excuse me, but you know what the conductor says when the train rolls at 1 o'clock?
He's got to go back next door.
Yes, sir. Oh my, I certainly enjoyed your presentation also. In fact, all of them. It's a great memory.
Can we get, they want a couple pictures and with you with the...
Yes, and I want to say now, when I went up on the locomotive, I had another thrilling, dangerous thing that happened. The locomotive fireman, we would get down, before we'd get on the engine to leave, and I was in Miami, and I was checking everything on the wheels, inspecting, make sure everything was all right on the locomotive. I looked up, and this was the Havana Special, train number 76 coming out of Miami. And I looked up, I had about 3 diesel locomotives on that train. That's a lot of power. And we had an A unit, and I looked up, and there was a hobo on top, lying down on the top of the locomotive. And I looked up, said, what you doing? Where are you trying to go? He's trying to get to Daytona Beach. Said he had a sick mother, and he's gonna ride the locomotive. They're gonna be doing anywhere from 79 miles and sometimes up to 90-some miles an hour. And I said, before we make that curve there at Little River, you gonna be in the river. So I got him down and did him a favor. But it's just a lot of things happening. When we would leave Palm Beach, that area, going on down to Miami, there was guys would get between the locomotives on those knuckles there and ride from, of course, we had, you know, it was running much slower. There was terminology for it, we call it minimum speed and all that stuff. And they would ride from Palm Beach and on down to Miami between those cars. A lot of things.
Standing on the couplers.
Yes. Now, when I was a mail porter and a passenger porter, well, the local train that hauled mail, it had an RP on the railway post office on there. And we would unload a lot of mail bags at stops like Palm Beach, these bigger cities. And there was a guy riding those crossbars under there, calling out from under the train as ridden from Miami up to that particular place. I mean, they just did a lot of crazy things. Wow. Now, I'm going to sit, I've got to go to Jacksonville. I've enjoyed all the presentations, just appreciate all the railroad fans, appreciate, and Brother Gruthouse going through, you know, giving us a demonstration of all those things. But if I had my nephew here, I never had a permanent band. I had the opportunity to go. I started out on guitar. But if he was here, we did a song, and I think everybody pretty much know this train don't carry no lies, and this train don't carry no backsliders. But this is the way the old steam locomotive used to do. That's the way it used to go. All aboard? Well, it's in transition. Now, I wish he was here because we really were going on down the road with it. I appreciate you. And kind of like Minnie Pearl was on the Grand Ole Opry, she never did take the tag off of her hat. But she said, I'm just glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.